Let's have a conversation about borderline personality traits in men. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling men and women who have experienced abuse, as well as those who have been perpetrators of abuse and or violent crimes for many years now. I have a commenter here who asked me to have a conversation about borderline traits in men, and I worked with men who have borderline traits or who have borderline personality disorder for several years when I worked in corrections, and so I'm gonna speak about a lot of the stuff that I saw there, but I also recognize that correctional mental health may be, men who are involved in the correctional system may be a little bit more on the extreme end of having a may have traits more on the extreme or the severe end. So one of the traits that I've noticed about men with borderline traits is there can be this level of self-destruction or self-harm, particularly if they are feeling devalued in their relationships, if they're not feeling seen, if they're not feeling heard in the way that they perceive that they should be. So with men, self-destruction can look like, again, and I've spoken about this before, excessive tattoos. So tattoos to me are a form of self-harm, piercing, cutting, burning, punching themselves, but also looking for someone to physically take things off. So, these are people that will spontaneously combust and get into a fight out of nowhere, or, get into something even worse than a fight, like where there's weapons and things like that involved. But also too, these are men that will struggle with suicidal ideation, and will often make serious attempts on their lives. So there's that aspect of it as well. They can also vacillate between idealizing and devaluing you. So these are men that can put you on a pedestal. One minute you're great, you're the best person ever, I'm so glad that I'm working with you, you're taking great care of me, to I hate you, you are the most incompetent person ever, I'm going to report you, you're stupid, I never want to talk to you again, I can't believe that I actually trusted you, that kinds of stuff. And in prison, it's a controlled environment. So that means that, most of the time these men are good about keeping physical aggression to themselves. But if they were out in the real world and you were going through devaluation, again, this would look like stonewalling or silent treatment. This may look like someone being physically aggressive towards you, so domestic violence. This may look like someone harming, trying to harm you, so running out and sleeping with someone else to get back at you for something that they perceive that you did wrong to them. You didn't even have to do it. It's just that they have that perception. And so with this idealization and this devaluation where they could sort of put you up on a pedestal or knock you off, whenever, at their discretion, that is one type of pattern of interpersonal instability. And so, I say that because the hallmark of borderline personality is that these folks, or even traits, severe traits, these folks perceived that that they have been abandoned or rejected, and they long for a relationship, right? And so despite them longing for a relationship, they typically do not do well in relationships without therapeutic intervention, and they need quite a bit of it, to be honest with you. So without therapeutic intervention, their relationships are going to be unstable. They're going to be chaotic. They're going to start fast, but they're also going to crash and burn very fast. So there is that. Out of the blue, they can they can just wake up one day and feel like they're angry and irritable and they're done with you in this relationship, and then the next day they could feel like they like you're great, and then they want to be taken care of by you. So they want to feel safe, and they want to feel like you were not going to abandon them. When they feel like you've abandoned them, then all heck breaks loose. And for me, in that working in a correctional setting, abandonment for them could look like taking the day off. So if I would take a day off, which, in my correctional career was few and far between, I didn't really take a whole lot of time. And so whenever I was gone, I would be immediately met with anger when I got back. Some of the times, and it wasn't even that long, 1, 2, 3 days max. They would be questioning other staff members about me. Some of them who had their electronics were searching for me. I've even had mothers call for me, and things like that. So like having their mothers outreach to me and things like that, which turned into, that's kind of wild. But there, you could sort of be met with anger. And then it becomes you were trying to leave, you were, that kind of stuff. I feel like this was personal, that kind of stuff. So it's more like they use that as an affirmation that you are rejecting me somehow, and that you don't care, and that and so it can almost feel like you're starting over from the beginning sometimes. A lot of men that I've worked with tend to have behaviors that are reckless. So that may look like, men who are reckless drivers, who experience extreme forms of road rage. So extreme forms to me are people that actually get into accidents or use their car as like a weapon, so it's not just, getting mad and maybe, saying a few cuss words. It's like, no, I'm going to now use you for target practice, and like, I can't let it go. Other forms of recklessness may be substance abuse, driving while under the influence. Let's see. Again, substance abuse in general. One of the things I will say about substance abuse in prison with inmates, the more lethal a drug is, the more attractive it becomes. So when prisons have like a fentanyl outbreak and things like that, the reason it spreads so fast like wildfire isn't because, people inadvertently come in contact with a drug. That might be true for like officers and things like that. But, one of the things that I've noticed, or, in talking about with inmates and things like that, is like the higher the fatality risk is, the more it becomes sparkly. It's like, oh my God, I've got to get my hands on that. You're telling me that thing can kill me in 2 seconds flat. I want it now. And so everyone's sort of clamoring, and I wish I was making this up, everyone's sort of clamoring to get their hands on it. And it's kind of sad, but it's just one of those things where it's like, if I can get my hands on it, I'm gonna take it. Same thing with like debilitating illnesses and things like that. When men find out that they have some sort of illness related to days of drug use and things like that, they want to take themselves out, with that party boy lifestyle. But that's just some stuff. Let me know if this helps. And of course, this isn't conclusive. Thanks for asking.